Alright guys, so I believe I had mentioned the introduction to this tractor that the Hinomoto, the E23 is basically the exact same tractor as a Allis-Chalmers 5020. There's one other one, I forget them right now off the top of my head, but parts are easy to come by for this tractor. You just have to put them under, in North America, you ask for parts for Allis-Chalmers 5020. The only one thing that's not that common is the blades for this rototiller. Now I'm just checking over everything, tightening up all these blades, and I noticed one is broken off. Luckily, the gentleman that had this before me was resourceful, much as I like to be, and he had saved some old tiller teeth from a different rototiller. I forget what kind it was off of, but they don't fit in these sockets. So what he actually has done is he'll cut these off here and then weld on the new tines. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can take this off, pull it out, and then see if we can weld a new tine onto it. Quite a few of these bolts were loose, so I was just going over them, and that's when I noticed this one. Oh, that came out way too easy. So what we'll do, go ahead and mark it where it sits. That way I'll know where I cannot weld. Put a bolt here. And the other thing we need to do is figure out which way this tine would have been facing. So, not exactly sure how to do that, but we're going to see if there's a pattern or something here that we notice. This one. I think we might put this one curving this way. I think we want this one to go like that, so we get some good tillage right here. Let me go see if we have one that works. Okay, so like I mentioned, he had saved a bunch of tines. I ended up cutting these ones down, and there's also these ones here. These ones were welded, so I had to cut them off, but if we look at this, basically I want one that's going to curve to the left and be cutting like that. So this one will work. Tack that on quite simply. Let's see if there's a slightly longer one. Oh, there we go. That's our tine right there. So what I'll end up doing, so I'll probably end up just kind of trimming this like this. I'll leave this line right here and make a straight cut across, and that way I can get these roughly, should be seated the way that it would normally seat, and then I'll just have to make sure I get a good solid weld on these, and then I'll just make sure there's nothing here to interfere with the socket where it fits in. So we'll go ahead and mark this stuff out and do that. Alright, so I just took this over to the tiller just to double check before I weld it up, and I think it should work good. I'm going to go ahead and leave this. I'll clean it up just a little bit, but I think I can get away with cutting the tine part that went into the socket, the original one, and I'm going to cut it like that. I should be able to weld those together, so I'm going to make a mark. I can use that edge, something like that, I think. So, actually, you know what? A bit more like that. So basically, I will cut this off right along there, and then I'll bevel these so I can get a good heavy weld in there. We'll tack them together. so got these ground down, and I didn't want to, there's a little gap in there, but I'll fill that up. I didn't really want to go lower than that because that's where the socket meets, and I don't want to go into the socket too much with my weld, so we'll go ahead and get this tacked together. Alright, so I've just clamped a piece of metal to the table here. I'll be, just so I can have a good rigid surface that's flat to clamp these two, and I don't have to worry about burning it. So, get that on. Should be good to weld her up. So, we got a nice good hot weld in there, and I'm just going to go ahead and smooth these edges out a little bit, and we'll bolt her in. She stayed relatively straight, a little warped, but it's a Roto-tiller blade, so it really doesn't matter that much. So we'll go ahead and grind this and see if she fits in there. Alright, so I didn't really do too much on the removing the weld here, because I want to keep as much of that intact as I can. But I did just want to clean up these edges here. If it doesn't fit in the socket, I can always take off more material, but I thought I may as well leave it leave as much of that weld on as I can. As you see, she's still quite toasty. Let's go see if it fits. Alright, the moment of truth. Haha. There we have it. We have a new tine. I guess the one thing I should, oh, that's good. Wouldn't want to weld too long of one in here because we might not have room, but this one should fit just fantastically. So there you go. In my opinion, one of the most important aspects of homesteading is being able to do things for yourself. That's the reason my wife and I are choosing to move out of town, grow our own food, and this is part of it. These skills aren't difficult. They require doing. Now, I do have the advantage. I mean, I'm a journeyman millwright by trade, and so I mean, obviously I've done a lot of welding, a lot of mechanical work, hydraulics. I mean, I've got a milling machine and a lathe in my garage. So I do have an advantage as far as this kind of stuff to most people, but the thing with mechanics is that there are laws that govern it. If something happens, there's going to be a reaction, and if you start learning and playing with that stuff, you'll be able to identify what the reaction has to be. It's laws that govern mechanics. There's no weird voodoo. It's not even like electricity where you can't see it. I mean, it's all physical material. This broke, we welded it on, it's there now. And I would encourage anybody to start doing more things on their own. Try fixing your own, start with an oil change in your car. Start simple, and then go from there. If something breaks in your car, why couldn't you fix it? You got YouTube. I mean, YouTube's ridiculously good for how-tos and step-by-step. You may bust your knuckles, may smack them around a little bit, but the end, you get something like this where, a little bit of work, a little bit of effort, and you fix the problem, you solved it yourself. And it's a really good feeling, and I would encourage everybody out there to just take a little more ownership of their stuff and learn to fix things themselves. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Cheers.